also like to just give a few words on our strategy. We've published and signed our strategy. Our strategy recognizes that the most important thing that we do is to build strong partnerships with partner nations and, where possible, multilateral between different partner nations. Strong partners, what's good for a nation is going to be good for the security of the United States in this neighborhood because we're so connected. And that's going to counter threats to our homeland, whether it's transnational criminal organizations, violent extremists, or an external state actor that has a different view of democracy and wants to ultimately destroy our way of life and our freedoms. That's our strategy. A lot of work goes into that, and a lot of work will go into the execution. Want to give a shout out about hurricane season coming up. It affects the region, across the region, and please be prepared. Make sure your home checklist's up to date, got what you need: water, flashlight batteries, phone numbers, contact numbers, and that we here at headquarters and the components that are affected, less so probably in Texas and Arizona, but the other components that will be affected have the best rosters with primary and secondary phone numbers. Don't wait until it's too late. A few upcoming opportunities I want to highlight. Building our team is the most important line of effort that we have. That includes getting families and everyone the resources and the level of involvement that you're comfortable with, that you think you need. Certainly, it's different for every situation. But we do have the starting of a family readiness group here. The kickoff for that will be the 5th of June here at headquarters. So this is primarily for headquarters. I know our components and other teams have their own groups. Here on the 5th of June, my wife Martha and Tasha will be there to help get it kicked off, and we're looking for volunteers to be advisory and board members, and more will be put out about that later. Closer in, we have on the 18th of May, a spouse appreciation lunch. We just celebrated National Military Spouse Appreciation. We'll do it here in the Miami area over at District 7 this Saturday, and it's not too late to get signed up for that, and we can get you more information on that. A lot of other events, we'll save that. We've got a number of questions that have already come in, and I'm going to take the first one. We're not going to get to all of them. We'll get to as many as we can, and like I said, we'll get you answers. So the first question here is, I was very encouraged to hear, and then I'll kick it over to Sergeant Major. You can say a couple words, and you got the second question. I was very encouraged to hear your support for work-life balance, which enables families to stay strong. As you know, the government and individual agencies like DIA and others advertise it as a benefit. While some offices at SOUTHCOM permit their employees to use alternate schedules to meet family obligations, others do not, and do not provide a mission-related reason for denial. So the question is, I hope we can do more to communicate alternate work-life schedules, and I would also include telecommuting into this because we have another question about telecommuting. We do have an instruction here, and I know our components do as well, about alternate work schedules, as well as telecommuting. We encourage the maximum amount of contact, human-to-human contact. That's what gets things done, teamwork, working together here at headquarters. And obviously, many of our programs and projects are highly classified, so we can't put classified computer terminals out in homes. So a lot of it does require you coming here during work hours, so that gets to telecommunicating on a mission need basis. But we certainly will openly entertain alternate work schedules and telecommuting, particularly when it makes sense for a family situation, and that happens. So please, if you've asked in the past and we're told no, please reconsider. We'll try to make accommodation. Sergeant Major?
So I just want to say, for the team out there, me and Tasha, my wife, we thank you all for what you do every day. We know it's tough out there sometimes. You know, work balance is important. Me and the Admiral, Ms. Fowler, Tasha, we really care. So it's important that you ask the questions you want to today, and if you don't get the questions asked that you need to, please send them in, and we'll post them to the website, or somehow we'll reach out to everybody and get these questions answered. So the second question I would ask is, would you consider Commander's suggestion box for comments, questions, suggestions? By all means, this would be a great opportunity for us to hear the voice of the command, the components, the JTS, and we're here to answer those questions. We'll look at other ways to do it too. You know, the Admiral's already got his stickers that he gives out, you know, for days off. So we're looking for good comments to come in, and if you got a comment, put an answer on there too. Maybe you can help us with that answer. Sure.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Sergeant Major. I'll take the next one here, and then I'll kick the next one over to Martha. We've got a number of questions already in. What steps are taking to ensure that your vision, lines of effort, and message are being carried out at the directorate level? As with all subcultures, not all are willing to follow suit and get aligned. Time and time again, we see folks not aligned with the vision. Well, I think that a lot of times getting alignment is just getting a lot of repetitions over and over again on what the lines of effort are, what the priorities are. So we've got the strategy, we've got our lines of effort, strengthen partnerships, counter threats, build our team, and we're not going to change those. We're going to do reps and sets and stay after it and refine our prioritization. That's going to help. And so I need all of us to read the strategy, no matter where you are, to understand it, ask questions, internalize it, and then look at what you're doing and see if it's prioritized and aligned. And if it's not, question why you're doing it and stop doing it, or start doing things and getting aligned. So we're going to work hard at this, and we'll keep refining and dialing in the prioritizations. I think the next one we're going to look at the some questions on spouse employment, volunteer opportunities, and language training. I'll kick to Martha.
Tasha and I can do this one together. Tasha has some great ideas. I just wanted to share, when it comes to spouse employment, I would encourage any spouse to remember that it is a process, that there is a process in place that you have to go to when applying for employment. But there is a gentleman, Joe Pagan, over at the Garrison that does handle resumes, and he also handles answering employment and career questions. And right now I can give you his phone number. It's 305-437-2639. And call Joe. He is willing to and happy to answer any questions that you might have that he can be helping you with. I would also encourage people that while you're waiting, once you've applied for a position, that there are also lots of volunteer opportunities that you could be using your time to volunteer. There are openings at the Garrison. You could be volunteering at the fitness center. If you want to offer English as a second language, that's always very helpful, especially here at SOUTHCOM. I would encourage you to attend our spouse symposium, which is June 5th. We're going to have a military family employment advocate who's going to be speaking at that symposium, and she'll be able to give you lots of great ideas as well.
And I know that for the components that might not have access to the Garrison facilities here, each of you are near an installation. There are similar spouse employment points of contact that exist to help you. And as a team leadership, our job is to ensure that you know where those resources are, where to find them, and if those resources are working for you. So if you call a number or you get a website that's not answering, we owe you that responsiveness. Tasha, you wanted to talk about this?
Just to mirror about that, there are a lot of volunteer opportunities throughout US SOUTHCOM, and what that enables is creating and building a stronger community amongst the spouses and amongst the families, which is really a foundation in order for our spouses, our significant others, to continue to focus on mission accomplishment here at work. So it comes into play with that work and life balance. As Martha had said, and Admiral and Sergeant Major as well, is that it is one big team. And so connecting together, creating those opportunities, coming to the Garrison, attending the spouse symposium, that's one of the things that Martha and I are very, very dedicated to and dedicated towards, is creating a stronger environment, especially knowing that so many people here live in all different within an hour and a half drive. So it's hard to, we understand that it's hard to create that close-knit community, but if all of us can come together, especially the spouses, and bring families together and work on building that part of this environment, then it can just strengthen SOUTHCOM as a community.
Thanks.
You're welcome, sir.
Good answer.
Chase.
Good answer.
Did you prep that one?
I did.
I'm gonna take the next one, Sergeant Major.
So this,
Keep going.
Giving all the hard ones to Sergeant Major.
so a question just came in, so we just got handed another question. Is there anything in the works for possibly expanding paternity leave? A 14-day leave period is not enough time for a father to help their mother and a new baby. I think this is to our civilian side. You think
It's
that's
both.
both the military?
And the civilian.
So, as you know, the military expanded, just started their paternity leave a couple years back for the father to help them and help the mother and have that relationship grow between the father and the mother and the baby. At one point, it's gotten extreme. It's not extreme, but it's gotten longer. So we're doing a better job with it as the military. But as our civilian contracts, I don't think we have, or civilian contracts or GS employees, do we have a military or paternity leave system for them? I'm not sure that's it.
We'll
So
get,
we
we'll
can
get a
look into
more
that
fulsome
question.
answer on that. Yeah, thanks, Sergeant Major. The question in from our joint task force in Gitmo. My family and I are stationed in Gitmo and are concerned about what current or future action SOUTHCOM plans to take in regards to flight situation. IBC Airways leaving at the end of June, and this year, 2019, is there an alternative airline coming in to take its place? Being able to depend on Space A is getting more and more difficult, and one can rarely make it into an AMC flight without being on orders. For the service members, DoD employees, and their families coming to Gitmo become literally being trapped on an island. This is a great question, and we've been tracking this closely. At present, we have a Transcom teammate right here in the headquarters. We're looking at options on this contract that would allow IBC or another suitable commercial provider to continue support. We're working with Rage in Southeast. I've made phone calls on it. We're also considering options through Transcom for what we call shark flights. It's a fancy name for C-130 transport. Already we're using shark flights to support periodic Space A travel to Little Rock and other locations. So good question, and we owe you a follow-up on that. I won't promise that we'll be able to solve this when there's a lot of pieces to this, including the utility rates. So when we have something in place, if all the different carriers are not being maximized, then that's why decisions like this are made by Transcom, because overall we do have to account for every dollar that we spend. And so it may be that particular option was good for some, but if we're not using all the options here, that's what leads to some of these decisions. You've got a follow-up here, Sergeant Major.
So my follow-up on my question, for the Army, we have up to 21 days of non-chargeable leave that is retroactive to 23 December 2016. For a civilian partner paternity leave, up to 13 days paid and up to 12 weeks unpaid. So that's the answer to the back room got me. So thanks a lot, those guys.
I've got one here, and then we got one for Martha and Tosh just came in. So having watched, quick question about Venezuela. So the world's watching as a tragic situation in Venezuela unfolds. It started 20 years ago under Chavez, and it's just continued under Maduro, and the misery and agony I feel for all the people that are starving and are suffering under the dictatorship. We're here in SOUTHCOM in full support of government efforts to see this transition to a legitimate interim government under President Guaido. This one in particular is talking about corruption in military is what this question gets. So obviously the Venezuelan military has become, at least a chunk of them, have become extremely corrupt and surrounding Maduro, and they're acting more like thugs than they are professional military. So the question really is, how do you get after this with militaries? And it's something that we spend a lot of time here talking about. and it has to do with being a professional military force, which I take pride in, being part of a professional military force for 36 years plus, and take pride in it because we're not perfect people, but we try really hard to do the right thing all the time, not some of the time. And that starts with respecting laws, doing the right thing, respect for human rights, respect for individuals, respect for equal opportunity in our force, gender opportunity, recognizing talent as the first primary motivator when we're making people decisions. And we're not perfect again, but I think we do that very well. Everywhere we go, we stress this with our military partners, foreign military partners, with our own team. We talk about it because if we're going to be effective, we have to be legitimate. And to be legitimate, we have to be trusted. And if you think we're going to do wrong things and corrupt and cut corners, you're not going to trust us. And so we stress this with our partners. And we have programs here, our Human Rights Office in its 20th year. It's an awesome team and program. We have NCO, non-commissioned officer development at Sergeant Major, and Sergeant Major Combs leads the charge, and Master Chief VIRIN. And every one of our teams that goes out and goes to a partner nation, or when partner nations come here, or when we run exercises or training, the professionalism and the expertise of our force is setting the example. Even if we don't say all those words, we set that example. So maybe you want to say something?
Sir, I think you hit it all, sir. I don't need to add anything on to that, sir. Hit it right on top of the head, sir.
All right.
Tasha and I were just asked what our thoughts would be on providing spouse mentoring. And my thought on this is that a specific spouse mentoring event is always wonderful, but there's so many opportunities that are already in place and scheduled for mentoring, informal spouse mentoring that can take place, like the spouse workshop that we just talked about. It's an entire day of speakers and different presenters that a lot of thought has gone into the types of information that would be shared that would be really, really helpful for our spouses to benefit from. And by attending those types of events, whether it's being a spouse workshop, a local coffee that someone's organized, being a part of the FRG, those are all opportunities to learn from people that are presenting. Tasha and I are going to be there, and we are advisors for the FRG, and we can always be available to talk and answer questions. And if there's something specific that you would want to have help on or just talk about, I want you to know that I am always available. You can reach me by email, and I would encourage you to do that.
One thing just to add on to that in regards to mentoring for spouses and having a program along with, you know, the spouse symposium, what we're looking at doing, and so we're asking the spouses at both sides for maybe input on this, is when we have these spouse symposiums or when there's conferences, you know, looking at, as we had discussed earlier, you know, people live down in Homestead, live in Durrell, live up north, is maybe possibly having groups at each location. So we have spouse groups from every single kind of region, as well as coming together maybe, you know, quarterly. So each region where the families live, you can have your own spouse get together and provide feedback. You know, it kind of creates another extension of the family, if you will, an extended family of SOUTHCOM. So it's easier to include everybody instead of trying to get everybody to come together at one time in one location. So any suggestions, any input in order to possibly make that happen, we are more than open to it, and hoping you will provide what you can when you can.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Mark. And I know in traveling to a lot of our embassies with our country teams, as well as our components, that all of them, all the leaders there are working on this. Some of our embassy teams are very small, maybe 10, maybe 4 or 5 families. So again, you do what you can. and we can't ask, or should we expect that you can do more than that? The priority is, and as it should be, on family and on your own health and own time. But when folks are willing and interested and passionate, there's always been an advantage everywhere we've been to getting people together and sharing experiences and sharing in both the joys and the challenges of service. A lot of times the solutions to the problems that we face in terms of spouse employment or understanding TRICARE exist in the very experiences of the people who have had to tackle the bureaucracy and get through the system and make it work. So we got more questions? You can add whatever you want.
For our spouses that are abroad, I want to thank you for taking the time when we visited your country and your location to spend time with me and to share your experiences, your quality of life concerns, and just really sharing your time with me, because I do take those concerns back. And Craig, my husband, and the whole leadership team, Sergeant Major, they really do care. So when we come, please make sure that if there's a spouse program offered, that you do attend, because I really do appreciate hearing from you.
All right, well, we've got a number of other questions that are here. The lines are open, and we have willing volunteers at those lines, 305-437-3000, 305-437-3000. So I'm going to take one here. Has to do, and I know some of these questions are specific to headquarters, but we'll be happy to answer any of them, or if I can, I'll send it back to General Stammer or Admiral Buck or General Croft or General Fahey or General Fletcher, and I know they'll answer it for you as well. But this one here is it's about the area and transportation, and so a couple of them. One talks about providing commuter bus service pickup in South Dade, Broward, and Miami Beach here, vice the van pools, and then related to this is potential for a shuttle bus from Miami-Dade Metro to here. Well, look, I would just say we're not going to be budgeted for a commuter bus that's going to go around would be additive to van pools, whatever sense it might make. What we are focused on, and I tell you very seriously, the one thing that surprised Martha and I, this is our 5th Florida tour, is the extreme high cost of living here in South Florida. It's different than North or even the Tampa area. The high cost of living, the extreme conditions on rent 3 months down is extreme. The tolls, which are insidious and build up quickly, and the traffic, which is as bad, worse than anywhere we've ever been stationed, and we've been in some of the worst of the worst. And so we are empathetic with the team that has to deal with this. We have approached the governor's office, state legislation, our national leaders about solutions to some of these things. I will not make any false promises. Others have tried to work on this, but we are trying to work through this and get some relief to some of these things, as well as the housing shortage here. Specifically to the shuttle bus from the Miami-Dade Metro, a couple other of these, we'll do a survey to see if there's enough demand. If there's enough demand, we will then take the next step to see if we can get the state or others to consider some support there. Sergeant Major, you got one?
I think we got a question coming in.
Yeah, this is from Courtney. Thanks for sending in your question. Courtney wanted to know if SOUTHCOM will have a spouses club, and will it be set up by location? The spouses club is actually going to be the family readiness group. And I know that there are different little independent, I think, spouse gatherings, depending on where you're located. Little coffees and different things from spouses that have gotten to network and know other spouses in their location. But a formalized club is going to be the FRG, and the kickoff for that is going to be June 5th at the Spouse Symposium here at the CCA at headquarters. And if you're interested in being a part of a club like that, please come. Please come to the workshop, because we're going to be needing people that want to be board members. Tasha and I are going to be advisors for that. We're going to need people that really want to be a part of setting up this initiative. And I would welcome any and all spouses in the area. If you're attached to SOUTHCOM, please come and be a part of this. It's going to be wonderful.
Or Major, I see you
I got one,
circled
too.
in on a question here.
So how can an active duty service member extend their time or assignment at SOUTHCOM? Is there certain circumstances, i.e. family, member health, etc.? And the answer is yes. There are certain circumstances that each active duty service must fall into the requested extension of this tour. So high school senior assignment deferment. Okay, you can request up to a year extension for allow your dependent to finish up high school. Humanitarian compassion assignment. Another, something happens where your family member, maybe a family member dies unfortunately, or something that it causes you to have an unusual circumstance in your life. Or stabilized tour extension. Again, these are all different, these are three different ways. There's other, we look at all things we look at for the family. Okay, balance, service member, what's best for the service member and his family and his dependents. Those requests can go through the J1. If you have any concerns or questions about that, please get with your J1 and they'll help you walk through those processes. That's it, Master.
Great, thanks. I have another question here. It has to do with human resource talent management. And so the question is, and I'm going to address this both on the military and the civilian side. So at our team here at each of the components is a little different, but our team here is about 1/3 military, about 1/3 civilian government service employees, and about 1/3 contract employees. And the military are made up of all services, Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Guardsmen and reservists, and it's a wonderful team. Civilians, the GS, some of those billets are funded here from SOUTHCOM. They come from other organizations. We have 20+ organizations that work here at headquarters that send their teammates here to integrate with us. And then the contractors, depends on what the need is, short-term, long-term. But for human resources talent management, we do have in the J1 our point of contact. J1 is our personnel shop. Number 1, our people. So you always know that when you hear 1, if it's in the Army, it's G1, Navy, it's N1. 1, because people are number 1. We have human resource management is a very important piece of that. And you should get customer service with your career needs. And you all say Sergeant Major on them. I'm good with that. You should get customer service with your career needs when you go there. And if you don't, you should run that up to the next supervisory level. We call that chain of command. And call whatever you want. You should get satisfaction when it comes to your career. The phone should answer. For the military personnel, we have a service desk here. We have reserve and guard reps here. I like just to refer to all of them as military teammates. Doesn't, to me, matter where you come from, what your service is, as long as you're willing to work hard and be part of the team and produce. But, and each of the services has different models of what career needs you need, schools and other things like that. I do think it's important to acknowledge that we have some gaps in the way we have career mobility for our government service civilians. There's not a lot of upward positions here. We don't live in an area with a lot of other government service positions. And I know that can be rather frustrating, or sometimes people feel that there's no way to look and move up. I would offer that you can't do much about the government service structure here in this area. But if you're interested in career enhancing education opportunities, training opportunities that require us to go outside the command and fund that, you should ask, because I'm the only one that can say no to a request for school and education here. So if you get no at any other level, it doesn't have my signature on, and I know every one of my commanders has the same policy, then you should say, no, I want this to go all the way up. I would like to know why I can't go to the school. There may be a good reason. It may not be within our legal authorities. We may not have the funding for it, but if we can say yes, we'll find a way if it helps your career needs and helps broaden your education, professional education as it relates to doing business here. I know it's a long answer, but I feel very strongly about this. I've had 2 tours in Navy personnel management, and I didn't like it when people would refer to my office as the office against Navy personnel. We want to be the office for personnel.
So may I?
You bet.
Just to add on to what the Admiral was saying in regards to professional education, there are a lot of resources available to active, retired, those who simply got out, and their families and spouses. I have plenty of resources. I've been doing this for a while. So, I mean, once this is over, we can put contact information on. There's a lot of universities that offer online education training, certification programs free for active duty veterans and their dependents, spouses and children. So, once this gets done, we'll have to make sure that information is passed, because I have a multitude of resources that everybody within this command, I'm hoping either know about or I would love to share with you.
Great, thank you.
Continue to educate. So I got a couple came in for me. Question, childcare outside the CDC is expensive and sometimes hard to find. The solution is to start a child program like military installations have, where spouses are certified to keep other children in their homes. So this is an option we can look at. Army garrison's gonna have to approve it, those in the process, but this is an option we'll look at. This is a when you deal with children, there's certain requirements we must maintain, especially in the government sector. And the next question, I think this is from Sergeant Davis. I'm calling him out right now. Is there funding for a motorcycle training course, and what other means can we receive funding for the required DOD training? So as an avid motorcycle rider, I've been riding over 30 years, this is one of the, very important for us to do motorcycle training. In the last 2 years I've been here, we've almost lost two, service members to motorcycle deaths, and not to their own fault. So these things, this is very important to me and to the garrison. We must take care of our motorcycle riders. So yes, there's a training through U.S. Army Garrison Miami. Okay, there may be a funding issue we need to look at, but we will get in the way. Chief saying there's no funding issue, so we'll have money for it. So this is good. So I just got it from the chief. Sponsored by the Installation Safety Manager. Information on the next course can be obtained by calling 305-437-2631. I say again, 305-437-2631. I think that's the chief's number. I think every number is the chief's number. Other commands you get in touch with your command, safety manager, and so forth. So, if you're SOC South or NAV South or other components, you're going to go through your commands. So, important message, you must have motorcycle training. I've taken it multiple times, and it's something we need to do.
I'm done. I'm taking all the easy questions here, and then I'm going to give the hard one to both Martha and Tosh. So my question here is I know a lot of people are focused calling in. You're not SOUTHCOM, so we got some for you here coming up. This is a SOUTHCOM R4 South type question here. It rains a lot in Florida. Go figure. And it rains every afternoon about the same time, and it rains real hard. So we're actually building a covered walkway here, so you can walk from one building to the next. Because when we designed the place, they didn't figure out that it was raining. I don't understand it, but here it is. It's underway. It's a great project. It's going to be good, but it's going to mess up some accesses. So the question is, can we use the front door? That would be my door while the walkway is under construction. And my answer is absolutely yes. So again, if anybody turns you away from the front door, tell them that I'm the only one authorized to turn you away from the front door. So that'll make some people happy, and come on in. All right. Ms. Martha?
I got a question. Is spouse outreach only for military spouses or spouses of civilian employees? And no, we want this to be completely inclusive, open to any and all spouses. Please come. And actually, I want to also add, if there are things that you want to be learning about, please come and share those ideas with us so that we can really turn this into an informative and beneficial experience for everybody. So yes, everybody, every spouse is included.
All right. Question, you got one?
Go ahead. I've got a question.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to agree with Martha, and as Admiral stated, that U.S. Southern Command here and throughout the AOR, I mean, especially headquarters, it's a third, and a third. It doesn't matter if you're in uniform or out of uniform. A spouse is a spouse.
Retirees too.
Yes, it does not matter. You're within U.S. Southern Command, you're a spouse, you're considered family, and we take care of family.
Thank you. Sergeant Major.
So next question, actually put a name on it, but I won't call her out. Where are the SunPass vouchers? Okay, this has been discussed time to time. So right now, it has been approved for certain turnpike passes. I can't remember which ones, there's different ones. But there's an actual link you can get on, and I don't know if the link is up yet, but it allows a 15% reduction for the Doral area for toll pike. So again, I'm not sure if it's up yet, but once it gets up, I'll make sure to get that word out, because I'll be abusing that privilege.
You'll be using that privilege.
Is that what it says, sir?
Yeah.
Sergeant Major, exactly. All right, I have somebody who gave their name and their location. So thank you, Colonel Mike Rayburn from Columbia. We read the new strategy, and it talks a lot about China and Russia in the region. Was wondering if the commander could talk a little more about what we can do as a command to counter their increasing influence. So the strategy is short read, 8 pages. It's unclassified. Everybody should read it and understand it and ask questions about it. The strategy focuses on partnerships. It focuses on the fact that as United States Southern Command, our responsibility is the mill-to-mill relationship with the 31 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. And the theory of the strategy is that a strong partnership, remember, partnerships are two-way. It's got to be good for the partner and also good for the United States of America. We are United States Southern Command, United States Army Forces South. We're not Army or Navy or U.S. Columbia Command. It recognizes it's got to be a two-way street. We've got to get a return on investment. So a stronger Columbia is a stronger United States, and a stronger Columbia is not going to be able to, or you name your country, succumb to corrupt, undemocratic influences from autocratic, non-democratic nations like China and Russia. That's the theory. And it's going to work. So thanks for the question, Colonel Mike Rayburn. All right. You want to add something? You want to add something? We do have a pile of questions here, so we're kind of going through them. There's one like really long one, and I don't think any of us want to touch that one.
I'll get one, sir. I'll ask this one right here. Okay, question. I've been promoting the gala and get the same feedback from all military. I asked, if I didn't have to wear a military dress uniform, I would go to the gala. Since this gala is not a military ball or award ceremony, it is an award ceremony. Let me clarify that. Is it possible to allow military to come whatever attire they choose? The intent of this gathering is more social than official. More people would participate. Some don't even own a dress uniform. So it's in uniform, and it's in the senior uniform you have. If you don't have a dress uniform, you can still come to the gala in the senior uniform you have, okay? The reason the gala was actually started because we weren't doing birthday ball celebrations at all the services. So we decided to do one gala for all the services, get together once a year together in our uniforms, include our civilian and contractor employees who be part of this program, and show up and have fun in our uniforms. This is important that we continue our military heritage, our history and traditions to show who we are and what we do. You know, if you come to the gala, I guarantee you will have fun. Last year, we sing our songs, and it's a great event. And it is an award ceremony that I think is very important for U.S. Southern Command.
It's not, it's for U.S. Southern Command, our component commanders, many of them will be there with their spouses, and it's not just military, it's civilians, all flavors, but I will say that tickets are actually selling pretty fast. We're not pleading for participation. There's probably maybe 50 tickets left. So if you're interested to come, don't wait any longer. And it'll be a great event. I promise I won't talk long. So, and I am the featured speaker, so I've been encouraged not to talk at all by some people. None of them in this room. I got a question here. So thank you, Mabel. I've got a question for the group. Can SOUTHCOM expand the base for all families living in the Miami area? I see the need to have a post-exchange commissary. Cost of living in Miami is high. Absolutely right. Thank you for the question. Cost of living is extremely high here. And we have no base housing. There's some limited leased housing for our junior enlisted where we go out and find housing, make sure it's legit, good landlord, and we block it and help with, that helps defray some of the costs, but it's not enough for the demand. There is a beautiful 100+ acre cow pasture across the street from this headquarters, and we're in the process of doing environmental assessments to determine if it would be suitable for building and constructing houses. We're also going to do a survey to determine whether folks would want to live there. So when that survey comes out, we're not asking you to move. We're asking if you came in and you had option for nice housing where your spouse could walk to work, and you had options to go to the gym, and we build a commissary with that. Would you consider that? You have security 24/7. You'd probably save hundreds of hours a year in commuting costs and gas and hours just sitting in a car. Would you consider tolls? Would you consider living there? Based on the demand, we are going to go out and try to get work this process to get this land and build some houses. So again, it's high on our list of projects for quality of life. So thanks for a great question. All right, we're taking questions. Pardon me.
So, where's the support of the BOSS program? We see funding for events, trips, inviting single service members to couples retreats is offensive. Okay, yes, there is a BOSS program or a single service member program. It's out there. If you're a GO bachelor, you still can use the BOSS or the single service member program. It's reconstituted. The BOSS program, better opportunities for single service members is what the name of the BOSS program is. There'll be more focus on the program, but support from leadership is necessary for the success of this program, as well as participation for service members. So I need the leadership to help out in this program. I need service members to take action and want to be part of it. You know, the more people are involved in this program, the more effective it is. So again, I need leadership in it, and I need service members to stand up and want to do these events.
Got a question here. It's got a very, very long answer, but I'll try to neck it down, and I'm going to make this apply to every organization that's out here listening in tonight, whether you're in Ecuador or El Salvador or Guantanamo Bay. So the question comes around the challenge of managing a schedule in a large organization, or any organization, where you try to have a repeatable schedule with a meeting or a conference, some type of thing on a repetitive basis, or you add it in because there was a need, and getting the right people to that meeting at the right time who are prepared and then driving to some kind of outcome out of the meeting. It's a great question. And frankly, we've got a lot of work to do right here at headquarters. And because we have a lot of work to do, that stress is felt by all of you listening in tonight. We've got to do a much better job, and it is high on our list of developing a repeatable schedule where meetings come at the same time. If I'm not there, the deputy chairs it. That's why we have deputies. And we get information out, we make decisions. All meetings should have an agenda. What do we want to do at the meeting? That agenda needs to be posted in advance of the meeting. Everybody should have access that needs that. We have systems, SharePoint here at the headquarters. We use OneNote. OneNote is actually 7 letters, not 4. OneNote, and it's a good system. We got to use it. And then we have a meeting. We should follow the agenda. We should be prepared, and we should post the results. And all that should be available one click. You should be able to go on OneNote, make a click. There's the meeting. 72 hours out, there's the agenda instead of 2100 the night before. So obviously the person who wrote this, actually, I thought maybe I had written the question, because it's important. We've got to get the basic blocking and tackling down so that folks know what they're going to do when they're going to do it. Now, we're a military organization, and our mission is not always predictable. National defense is important, and we could flare up 2 minutes from now, and the SecDef wants to talk about options for country X, Y, or Z, or the region. we're gonna have a pop-up meeting. So I think people get that, but whenever meetings pop up in a crisis, it's a problem for all of you. So we've got a lot of work to do, knowledge management, consistent schedule, battle rhythm, putting that out there. We owe you better. And if you haven't seen improvements in a month, come any day to my office that I'm in at 8 in the morning. Phone in if you're a component and voice your concern. And we owe you better than that. And you've got our commitment to do that. So a couple more questions here.
This one is about wanting to see more family get-togethers at SOUTHCOM. I would encourage you, anybody, please, if you're part of our SOUTHCOM family, if you have ideas for things, events that you'd like to see happen, please let MWR know. But I do know that on a regular basis, there are events that are scheduled and they're advertised through email and the Garrison portal through US AG Miami. So I don't know if those aren't reaching people. I know that they're often advertised on posters and things in the Garrison. If you've not been through the Garrison, I would invite you to please take a tour. They have an amazing facility over there and they do a great job. Just make yourself familiar with everything that's offered over there. But if you have ideas for certain events that you'd like to see, please let MWR know.
And that applies to everybody listening, for every component out there. So, Tosh said this before really well. There's a lot of resources out there, and I think sometimes we drown in the amount of resources. As leaders, we owe you the information. As team members, you owe it to yourself to take the time to find this information. And a lot of it is online. I know that can be problematic depending on what your work is and what your access is. But service members, if you're listening in, you owe it to your spouses, to your families, to your teams to push the information to. All of us get really caught up sometimes in the sprint of the day, and we forget to take care of the basic blocking and tackling with what good deals are going on, because there are some good deals through our morale, welfare, and rec programs. And what resources are available? There's tremendous resources, like Military One Source. Military One Source. You type it in. Martha and I have used that. That is real people that answer the phone if you call and can give you advice, and it's within your benefit. And there are situations for our government service civilians where you can apply it to. So lots of resources. Sort of made I think you got one.
So I just want to add to that, sir. Those sources are, it's being a joint command. There's, we have Army, we have Marines, we have Navy, we have Air Force, Coasties. We got all these services. We got to learn each other's, the services they provide. And to do that, you have to educate yourself. As leaders, you got to continue to educate yourself.
And if you're if you're on a base and there's most of our bases today have multi-service, and they say and you go to let's say you go to a family service center, and it's on a Navy base. And they say, "Oh, sorry, you were in the Air Force. We don't do Air Force here." That's wrong. They are chartered to support that base, and you should raise that. You come to my office 8 o'clock, call me, and I'll raise it. That gets my fire up when I hear that. We have an Army garrison supporting a joint headquarters. If somebody says, "Oh no, you can only go there Army," that's just bunk. And we now have ability to service our government service employees, some retirees, and all services here. I don't think contractors can utilize the medical services at the garrison, but under certain circumstances, I think they can use some of the other services. So ask, and if the answer doesn't seem right, it's probably not right, and raise it up with us.
So I got another question that came in. The question is, I'm curious on the progress made regarding state law requiring 3 months rent in advance. First and last month's rent plus deposit. Talks with Florida governor and legislators to get this requirement changed to only 2 months rent, first month's rent, and deposit for military members. Unfortunately, as a decision made 2 weeks ago, the Florida legislature did not pass the relief law. It does not look like this law will be passed in the near future, but we'll keep on trying. But as in local legislative forces, the apartment complexes are currently available to service members or U.S. Southern Command. We have negotiated the apartment complexes to only have a security deposit and first month's rent to move in. need to reach out to the Garrison Housing Office. They have more information to help you in that process. So if you're a sponsor and you have somebody coming in, you got to make sure they reach out to the Garrison Housing Office to help them in that process. So if they go to these apartment complexes, they will only be charged that first month's rent to move in and the deposit, vice the 3 months.
Thanks, Sergeant. We're working on that. We have not surrendered. We're going to tackle it again next legislative season. Individually, we've made it known to the local community, and we've actually had several housing complex managers come forward and say they would change on a professional basis for military those roles, and we'll certainly support any of our government service employees that want to take advantage of that as well. We are out of questions right now. We've got about 7 minutes or so left, 5 minutes left. I think we're just going to do a little wrap up, and if there's a hot question comes in, but I'll say a few comments and then pass it around here. So one, it is a true honor, having said that, here comes a whole ream of questions. But I'll start. It's a true honor to serve with you and for you here at the United States Southern Command. What we're doing for the nation is appreciated and recognized by all levels of our government and around the nation, frankly around the world, and in the region. We have the high honor of representing all of you at conferences and meetings with presidents and prime ministers and chiefs of defense, and they look at us and they look in our eyes as professionals and they say every time, thank you for the support that we provide, for the training, for the professionalism, for the interaction, for the example that we set. And that's a team. It's something that we all take part in, and you should all consider that and thank yourselves, your families, and your friends for that support. I will pass the baton, and I've got a question here, but
Want to pass it after, or you want to answer that?
I'll answer the question, and it's a good one. Have you considered the idea of some brown bag discussion lunches for your mid-level or junior leaders to gather ideas or feedback on your initiatives? Great idea. It's done. And thank you for putting your name on there. You get a great job sticker for your name, and great job sticker is worth a day off. And I have purchased those with my own funds, and that's a program that we started, and you'll be seeing that when I come through your embassy or your joint task force or the region. So Sergeant Major's got another one. And that'll be our last two questions, and then we'll wrap up. As soon as you say last question, you get more questions.
So I just got counseled to speak slower, so for my better
At
half.
least it wasn't lower.
There's nothing sacred.
With the Army changing the PT test to 6 events, is there a way to expand the outside recreation area by the gym to accommodate the new 6-event APFT? Okay, the command is working to buy equipment and identify an area to set up and practice for these events. So we are understanding of this process. We know that the Army's changed that, their APFT, and we will work with those, and so we can pass those tests.
Do we have a date when that will be done? We need to hold ourselves to a due date.
That's a good question. I'll refer to the Chief of Staff for that.
Okay. Tosh, you got a question?
Yeah, so question came in is, what does the Garrison offer to help spouses with job searches? So the Garrison has the ability to arrange job workshops, employee workshops, skill offering workshops. It's just a matter of getting enough people interested and creating the time and the space, which would be here at Garrison, to get everybody state, local wide to participate in these workshops. There's also a lot of online resources that, with us talking about family and about spouses and about creating that community, that falls partly on us in regards to getting that information out and expressing it better and more thoroughly. As the Admiral had said earlier, there's a lot of resources that are out there, and sometimes it seems like a huge dump, brain dump, data dump, however you may say it. Sometimes it's not that we're not communicating it to either any of us here or the team as a whole. It's just how we communicate it. So, it's about effective communication in that way. But Garrison does have a lot of opportunities for spouses, and Martha and I will be working on creating more opportunities for job workshops, for skill workshops.
Great, thanks. You want to add anything to that?
No, I would just encourage anybody that, in terms of spouse employment, to please reach out to Joe Pagan at the Garrison. And again, his phone number is 305-437-2639. And he is happy to help with resume writing, employment and career questions. So please reach out to him.
He's getting paid no matter what, so make him work.
And also, earlier, a comment was made, and this is really kind of internal, but you can pass your question of spouse to your significant other. We do have it's called Sounding Board. It's a link on our intranet where you can drop a question to me. I tried that today, it didn't work for me, so maybe that's a problem. So if you're out there and you own the Sounding Board link, we got to make sure it works. Now that I've advertised it, I think it's a good thing. We're also going to do an old-fashioned box where you can drop it in the building entranceways. We'll have those up soon, and so you can do it that way too, in old school way, which is the way I'm familiar with. So thanks for the questions. I'm going to kick the sergeant major, Tasha, and Martha for some closing comments.
So I'll just add that we are U.S. Southern Command. We are that team. You know, if it's 23 different embassies or 22 now, the components, the JTFs, it's important that we work together and continue to build that team. Team building is tough, and if you don't put the effort into it, it won't become the team. And it's very important that we continue to grow that team every day. It takes a phone call. Email leadership sometimes don't work. You got to make that communication. If you're not getting your communication across the right way, you got to come a different direction. And we need your help in building the team. So, and we're proud of everybody out here at U.S. Southern Command, what you do, the military members, the employees, civilian, the spouses. It's important that we continue to grow this team even bigger and bigger every day we get a chance to. Thanks. I talk slow enough?
I think we're good. I think we're all appreciative, and so
Yeah.
I think thank you all.
No.
You have a great night.